शून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय हरे कृष्ण. So today we'll be discussing chapter 1 text 42 Bhagavad Gita as it is. दोषैरेतैः कुलघ्नानां वर्णसङ्करकारकैः उत्साद्यन्ते जातिधर्मा कुलधर्माश्च शाश्वताः. Second, just hold on. So here Arjuna continues to give his reasons on why the battle has to be avoided, why he does not want to fight. So he says, Doshairetaihi kulagnanam, these people who are kulagnanam, who want to kill this destroyer of the family, kulagnanam, because of the faults of such people, doshaihi etaihi, varna sankarakarakaihi, it brings unwanted children, as we had seen in the last few verses. And because of bringing that unwanted children, utsadyante jati dharmaha, it kills the jati dharmaha. Jati dharma means all the community welfare projects and all such things are eradicated. So just a second, somebody is messaging me. Hare Krishna. So because of the evil acts, kulaghnanam doshaihi etaihi varna sankara karakaihi, it brings about varna sankara children, and utsadyante jati dharmaha, it causes devastation. Utsadyante means it brings down basically all these jati dharmaha, kula dharmaha, shashvataha. All these community projects, welfare projects, the family traditions, family welfare activities are devastated because of this evil deeds of people who destroy this family tradition. So, in other words, he is giving another excuse of not fighting. He says that if we kill all these men, then the varnashrama system gets disturbed and the women might get corrupted. The men can take advantage of this women and bring about disruption in the family traditions and bring about unwanted children who will disturb the varnashrama dharma and so on and so forth. So Prabhupada explains in the purport how this tradition of Sanatana Dharma is very important for the society. And currently, these leaders of the society, the irresponsible leaders of the society, they are bringing about chaos in the society by disturbing, by not enacting the rules or the the dharma of the Sanatana Varnashram dharma. And consequently, people forget the aim of life. Of course, Arjuna, his argument is correct. How, what, by waging the war, he is going to disturb this fabric, the Varnashrama fabric. But what he did not realize is there is no better person who knows this better than Krishna. So Krishna knows that this is going to happen, but still Krishna had a higher purpose to bring Yudhishthira to the throne, so that the people can be given Krishna consciousness. That takes the higher precedence than the so-called material Varnashrama principles, where there is no Krishna in the center. So you can have everything, but if there is no God in the center, no Krishna in the center, there is no point of Varnashram dharma. Like you are trying to bring up a nice garden and you hired people, you hired the farmer, they are digging up, plowing the land, making everything ready. But the land is the plants and the trees, the vegetation is not coming up. Why? Because you have not sown the seed. So Varnashrama is important to maintain the nice peace and prosperity of the society. But the point of Varnashrama is it prepares the ground. But the seed has to be sown. That seed is Krishna. And that Krishna knew that only a Krishna conscious Rajarshi king like Yudhishthira can bring about the change, that spiritual seed in the hearts of the people. So that was the reason why Krishna was encouraging the war, whereas Arjuna was giving these material reasons to avoid the war. So in the purport, Prabhupada mentions the breaking of the Sanatana Dharma tradition by irresponsible leaders of society brings about chaos in that society. And consequently, people forget the aim of life, Vishnu. Such leaders are called blind, and persons who follow such leaders are sure to be led into chaos. So, Prabhupada highlights how the leadership in the society has to be responsible spiritually, importantly spiritually, not just materially. Unfortunately, nowadays the leadership is all about personal aggrandizement. How I can make more money, how I can become more famous, how I can secure my tenure for the next 5 years or 10 years or whatever duration it may be. How I can give these goodies to people so they can vote for me. Without understanding the principle, Nate viduhu swardhagatim hi Vishnum durashayaye bahirardhamaninaha. Our actual self-interest is served when we take to Krishna consciousness. But people don't understand. Nate viduhu. Nate viduhu means they don't know that their real ardha, swardhagati, is Vishnu, Krishna. And durashaya, because of a false hope, they think bahirardhamaninaha, this external material welfare, material wealth, material things can give them happiness. Bahirardhamaninaha. And the leaders also are blind and they lead them to blind path. Andha yadhandhair upaniyamanaha. So the leaders are blind, people are blind about self-realization. So one time I saw this poster which said, you want $1 million, or somebody was sharing, or meeting with Jesus Christ. Some Christian was sharing as part of his preaching. So he released a poster. So comment below, do you want $1 million or you want to meet Jesus Christ? And a lot of comments were there. People were saying, "Oh, I just want $1 million. You know, I don't want to meet anybody. What will Jesus Christ give me? I just want to be happy." And some people said, "No, no, no. We need God. We need to reawaken our lost God consciousness." So there are very few people like that. So I was thinking that I was reminded of this incident or story told by one devotee, where there was this boy who was an orphan, anatha, and he was basically begging for his living. And so this man, he was driving by in his car, and he stopped by and looked at this boy who was begging, and he, out of compassion, he wanted to help the boy. "Hey, if you want to stop doing this begging, how much do you need?" And the boy said, "No, no, I think I'll if you give me $10,000, I think I'll be all set. I don't need to beg anymore." And immediately this man was a very rich. He got the money and he gave the boy. And now you can give up your begging and enjoy life. Find something useful, work and do something. And so this boy left happily, and this man also left. But exactly after 1 week, he saw that this man was driving by and he saw the same boy again begging. And then this man became very upset. He got down and said, "I gave you enough money and you're still begging. You cheated me." And this boy said in a very sad face, "We have a begging syndicate where there is this bigger boss, bigger beggar. He bullied me and took all the money. And there is no money left. I have to again come back to begging." And so this man then found out who is this child, what is his whereabouts, how he came out for begging, and he took him to the father and delivered the man to the father, which resolved all his begging problems, all his material problems. So this people who choose this $1 million over meeting a saintly person or God, it's like, yes, you get the money, but just like this bullying beggar, the head of this begging syndicate, took away your money, this boy's money, Maya takes away all our material things. It could be wealth, it could be relations, it could be our happiness, our health, and Maya takes away everything in due course of time. Whatever is your karma destined, Maya will give it to you. Whether you have money today, whether you have wealth and happiness, career, relations, it doesn't matter. Whatever has to be taken away from you will be taken away from you. So the smart decision is, just like this person delivered the boy to the father who always takes care of the child. Sometimes we see these children playing in the park, or when we are traveling, we see a lot of children. They're all playing about, and the father is carrying them, and they're running and they cry for some toy or some candy. The father goes and buys, and the child doesn't have to worry anything. He doesn't have to worry about packing his bags. The child doesn't have to worry about carrying a credit card. All the kid is happily enjoying life while the father takes care of all his worries. So that is the difference between an anadha and sanadha. These two words are there in the Vedic literature. Anadha means anybody who does not have Krishna consciousness, whose situation is like that of the beggar. Anadha, there is no nadha to take care of him. And Maya is giving all kinds of tribulations. Whereas a sanadha means who has a nada, who has a master, who has the father, who has Krishna, who takes care of everything. He doesn't need to worry about those money for himself. Just like Duryodhana, he thought, oh, I could get all the army of Krishna, Narayani Sena, so I can be happy. I'll fight and win the battle. What will Krishna help me? How will Krishna be of use to me? That is the materialistic thinking. But the spiritual thinking is, instead of becoming a person, a beggar in the street, being inflicted by all troubles by Maya, I'll be dependent child in the hands of Krishna. So this is called Swardhagatim, our real Swardhagatim hi Vishnum. Durashayaye Bahirarthamaninaha, instead of going after material things. Andha yadhandhair. Even the leaders, they lead. The present civilization, Prabhupada called it as they follow this dog's philosophy. Prabhupada told this story about this dog's philosophy, how this blind leading the blind, how the leadership is blind. So he said there was this dog crossing a small rivulet, a small river basically. So this dog, he saw another dog in the water. Actually, there was no dog. He saw a reflection. He was carrying some food in his mouth. He saw another dog within the water. He saw that dog, that image in the water, carrying the food in his mouth. So this dog thought, oh, why this dog is enjoying food? Let me take his food stuff from the mouth. So in order to grab that food, he has to open his mouth. So he went after that food, which is non-existing, and he released that whatever food he had, and the food fell down and washed away, and he had nothing to go after. So this is called dog's philosophy. So you try to take somebody's meal, you lose your own. But the whole world is after this illusion. Try to grab more, try to grab more. It's a very instructive story. This is dog's philosophy. All these empires that were expanded throughout the world, whether it is the Roman Empire or British Empire, they tried to grab everything that they wanted, that they see, than what they had. Not just the empires, in general, even in our lives, if we try to grab everything else that we come across, then we lose everything. And the dog's business was finished. So Prabhupada says that one should be satisfied with whatever God has given you. Tena tyaktena bhunjita. Ma gridaha kasya svidhanam. Don't try to grab. Don't try to exploit somebody else's quota. Whatever is given to you by God, be satisfied. Don't encroach on others' property. This is the right civilization. Being contented with what God has given, with what Krishna has given. Like the Sanadha example, the boy going back to the father I gave, or the child traveling with the parents, don't worry about credit card or the anything else. So the child sometimes gets what he wants, sometimes doesn't get what he wants, because the father knows this is good for the child, this is bad for the child. The father does not make him indulge in candies. He'll give some nice food to eat, which is healthy. And the father does not let the child indulge in unnecessary toys. He gives a good toy by which it increases his creative thinking. Things like that. So whatever Krishna gives to us, we should consider that the father knows what is best for the child, and the father is giving what is needed and what is good for the child. And the child is happy. Child initially, he will make a noise. Oh, no, 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 I want that. But child immediately forgets. He starts to become happy with what he has and starts to play, because he has implicit faith in the father, and very soon he will forget whatever the mind's tricks, and he will start playing. His mind will adjust. So, like that, we should be satisfied with what Krishna gives. Of course, by the mercy of Krishna, if one has access, if one becomes wealthy, one's material condition improves, then one should use that to serve the Lord, to give back to the Lord. So, Prabhupada also explains there was one time devotees in 1970s, Prabhupada's disciples, they were distributing a lot of books, the books our Acharya Srila Prabhupada wrote, like Bhagavad Gita, and the small books like The Science of Self-Realization and things like that, Beyond Birth and Death. So they were going around in a bus. They were traveling and they didn't have a fixed residence. They were going around in South America, particularly in Brazil. And so they wrote a letter to Srila Prabhupada saying that, my dear spiritual master, you're so merciful. By your literature, you are, spreading this Krishna consciousness everywhere, and we'd like to be part of your divine mission. And please give a name for our activity, how we are traveling in a bus and spreading and distributing these books. So please give a name. And we feel that without your blessings, we will not have much success. So Prabhupada wrote a reply to their letter, and he went beyond a simple response requesting for a name. He sent a lengthy note of encouragement. While not actually giving a name for the party, he endorsed their efforts to the fullest. He said he was very pleased with how they have taken up the mission of spreading Krishna consciousness, following the orders of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, because he said people everywhere are suffering on account of being led by blind leaders who are devoid of all knowledge of the soul. And such foolish men lead other foolish men, and all concerned suffer. Just like a blind man leading another blind man, and the result is that both of them fall into the ditch. So, therefore, there is a requirement for a section of society to become first class men, free of the influence of the modes of nature, who can understand the mission of this human form of life and who can teach it to others. So Prabhupada said he is trying to create this class of men. But it is hard because people, they want material happiness. They don't want spiritual happiness. They cannot understand that only by God, only by having Krishna in the center, they can have even material happiness. But they became lost of intelligence due to the coverings of these three modes of material nature. So he lauded their efforts, saying, all of you are sincerely helping me in this mission of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So Krishna will surely recognize your service. And if Krishna recognizes, then your life becomes perfect. So continue your activities all over South America and try to present this Krishna consciousness without any change or speculation. So this is the instruction, nice instruction Prabhupada gave. And Prabhupada also said, this blind men, of course, it refers to the politicians, leaders, or the kings who lead people in a wrong path, trying to give them assurance that material things, material welfare can give them happiness. But there are also people in the mask of spirituality, so called gurus, for the sake of gaining public followers, they also lead people on the wrong path, and people fall for it. Like there was this uh, blind son in law who was trying to go to his father in law's place. He came to that village, he was in the outskirts, and there was nobody, and he wanted to go to the father-in-law's place. So, but he heard a nice flute, and he was captivated by the flute, and he said, okay, let me approach that sound, and that person can help me to reach my father-in-law's place. So he followed that sound, and he reached the man, and uh, and this man could understand that this man was blind. He stopped playing the flute, and this man asked, the blind son-in-law asked, hey, can you help me reach my father-in-law's place? And this man who was playing the flute, he said, where is your father-in-law? What's his name? And he said, oh yeah, this is such and such name of the father-in-law. And then this man said, okay, then I have this cow, and this cow actually comes from your father-in-law's place, and the calf is there still with the father-in-law. So this cow can lead you to its calf, and by reaching there, you'll reach your father-in-law's house. All right, then how do I'm blind. How do I go along with this cow? And he said, no, just hold the tail of the cow. Wherever the cow is going, you just go. And this man said, great idea. And so he said, and he went to the place where the cow was there. He led him to that place, and he started to hold the tail. And the now cow became really itchy and anxious. Somebody is trying to do something with it, and it started to run. And obviously, it knows where it is going, to the place where the calf is there. And because of this running, this blind man, he fell down, and being dragged on the ground everywhere, thorns are pricking him, and there's dust and mud, and his clothes are all torn, injury and blood all over the body. And finally, the cow went to the place where the calf is there, and then he stopped. And then he was quite relieved that all this hell is now ended. And then he knocked the door, and the father in law opens. And then he orders his guards to come and take him away and start to beat him, because some beggar has come and is claiming that he is my son in law, because they couldn't recognize him. So instead of ending up in the right house and right situation and being treated as a real son-in-law, he got the treatment as a beggar and a thief. So the point is that the spiritual personality who tries to mislead you is like the attractive speaker, or who says, oh, you can do anything you want. By their flute music or by their pleasing words, they can attract you. But by following their instructions, you'll end up like that, nowhere to go. Your spiritual assets will be spoiled. You'll be led on a wrong path. So, blind leading the blind can also refer to those so called spiritual gurus who are not necessarily spiritual. Anybody who does not give Krishna as he is, Bhagavad Gita as it is, we should be very careful about. That's why Srila Prabhupada's Bhagavad Gita is called Bhagavad Gita as it is. There is no interpretation, there is no misinterpretation, there is no change. So we should be very careful who we are following. Anybody who speaks nicely, not necessarily a bona fide spiritual guru. So we should be careful to follow the real spiritual person. I'll stop here. Anybody has any questions, you can pose it in the chat. Let me unmute. I think. Okay, now you can all unmute if you want to ask any question, or you can post it in the chat window. All right. Bhagavad Gita as it is ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Nitai Gaur Premanande, Hari Hari Bol, Hare